Imagine you are in an ambulance, miles from a major city, and you've just suffered a severe head injury.
Yeah, that is a terrifying scenario.
It really is. And right now, in modern medicine, to know if the pressure inside your skull is reaching lethal levels, a doctor needs a sterile operating room, a neurosurgeon, and a literal drill to bore a hole right through your skull bone.
Right, or they might do a spinal tap to measure the pressure, which is also incredibly risky.
Exactly. Either way, you are talking about highly invasive, high-risk procedures. They carry a real threat of infection. But what if a medical team could get that exact same life-saving data just by slipping a specialized helmet on your head?
And, pair of glasses on your face, maybe some earbuds in your ears. It sounds completely like science
It
fiction.
really does sound like sci-fi.
But that is actually the reality we are moving toward. Up until now, measuring what doctors call intracranial pressure, or ICP, has basically required us to act like we're still in the medical dark ages.
Right, you have to physically breach the body.
Yeah, exactly. You have to break the body's natural defenses to get an accurate reading. And because it requires such specialized sterile environments, continuous brain pressure monitoring is essentially confined to the intensive care units of, like, major well-funded hospitals.
Well, today we are looking at something that could completely flip that script. We are doing a deep dive into a fascinating new patent that aims to revolutionize how we monitor the brain.
It's a huge leap forward.
Okay, let's unpack this because we are not just talking about a minor update to a medical tool here. We're looking at a wearable command center that could move critical neurocare out of the ICU and into rural clinics, ambulances, or even, ambulatory home care, and completely non-invasively.
Yeah, so the source we are examining today is a detailed patent for a non-invasive intracranial pressure monitoring device with integrated sensors.
That is a mouthful.
It is, yeah. But this breakthrough was developed by inventors Dr. Gandhi Bhaskar Pratulanka and Dr. Jayant Jagtap.
And they are associated with NIMS University, Rajasthan,
Right.
in Jaipur.
Yes, exactly. And what they've designed is an advanced multi-sensor helmet system. The entire premise is to measure all the complex blood flow dynamics and electrical activity of the brain without ever breaking the skin.
I mean, I'm trying to picture this. If I'm a patient with a traumatic brain injury, my head might be swollen, I'm likely in pain, and now someone is strapping a device to my head.
Right, it sounds uncomfortable.
Yeah. What does this actually look like? How does it interface with a patient who might be in a highly vulnerable state? I'm picturing like a heavy, claustrophobic astronaut helmet.
Well, it's actually surprisingly sleek. The inventors really prioritize clinical practicality and ergonomic comfort.
Oh, okay. That's a relief.
Yeah, the foundational structure is a lightweight framework made from medical-grade materials. Remember, a patient might need to wear this for hours or even days. So comfort isn't just a luxury, it is a medical necessity.
Makes sense.
The helmet features adjustable straps to ensure a snug, customized fit. And that fit is vital because the sensors need to maintain perfect contact with the scalp to get accurate readings.
Right, because if it shifts around every time the patient moves, your data is garbage.
Exactly.
But I imagine strapping a bunch of electronics to someone's head generates some heat, right?
It definitely does,
Yeah.
which is why the framework incorporates built-in airflow vents to keep the patient's head cool.
Oh, smart.
Yeah, and there's also an external LED display built right into the side of the helmet.
Wait, really? Like a screen on the helmet itself?
Yeah, that way a doctor or nurse walking past the bed can get immediate visual feedback on the pressure readings without having to boot up, a separate monitor.
Okay, that makes sense for the physical shell. But let's get to the actual sensors, because this is where I need some convincing.
Sure.
How does a plastic helmet read the pressure inside a solid enclosed bone vault?
Well, it achieves this by combining 6 distinct, validated sensor technologies.
6? Wow.
Yeah, 6. Let's start with the 3 cranial sensors that read directly from the scalp. First, you have the EEG, or electroencephalography.
Okay, the brainwave monitor.
Right. Neurologists have a universal map for placing electrical sensors on the head, and this helmet positions its EEG sensors based on that exact standard layout, and these come with embedded preamplifiers.
Why the preamplifiers?
Because the electrical signals generated by your brain's cortical activity are incredibly tiny by the time they pass through the skull and reach the scalp.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so the preamplifiers boost those tiny electrical whispers so the system can continuously monitor the brain's electrical state.
Okay, so the EEG is listening to the brain's electrical wiring. But pressure usually involves fluid or blood, right? How do we track that?
That brings us to the NIRS probe's near-infrared spectroscopy.
Okay.
The helmet places these probes at 7 highly specific locations around the head. You've got the parietal lobes on the sides, the temporal lobes near the temples, the occipital lobe at the back, the frontal lobe, and the vertex right at the very top.
You know, I've heard of near-infrared light used in those little finger clips that measure blood oxygen. Is this the same concept?
It's the exact same fundamental concept, just applied to the brain. Near-infrared light has this unique ability to safely pass through the skull bone.
That's crazy to think about.
It is. And when that light hits the blood vessels underneath, oxygen-rich blood absorbs the light differently than oxygen-depleted blood.
Ah, okay.
So by measuring the specific wavelengths of light that bounce back out of the skull, these probes can literally see how much oxygen the brain tissue is consuming in real time. It gives a direct picture of cerebral oxygenation and blood flow dynamics.
So we have electricity and we have oxygen consumption. What is the third scalp sensor?
The transcranial Doppler or TCD probes. These use ultrasound technology to measure the actual velocity of blood flowing through the brain's major arteries.
Okay, ultrasound.
Yeah, but to work properly, ultrasound needs a medium to travel through. If there's even a tiny pocket of air between the sensor and the skin, the sound waves just scatter.
Right, like when they use that cold jelly for a normal ultrasound.
Exactly. So these probes use a special hydrogel coating to ensure perfect acoustic contact with the skin. And the helmet uses adjustable front and back straps to lock these ultrasound probes securely in place.
Okay, let me pause you there because I really have to push back on this a bit.
Okay, go for it.
I understand what these sensors do. We're reading electrical signals, we're bouncing light to check oxygen, and we're using sound waves to track blood speed. But wait, we are still just reading from the outside of the skull.
That is true.
It feels like trying to figure out the weather inside a closed house by measuring the temperature of the external brickwork, feeling the vibrations of the walls, and guessing the airflow in the chimney, all without ever actually opening the door.
That is a great analogy.
But how is that accurate enough to replace a physical drill? When you drill a hole, you know exactly what the pressure is because you are literally touching the fluid. This just seems way too indirect to be reliable in a life or death scenario.
You know, if the inventors had stopped at just the scalp sensors, I would completely agree with you. The data would be far too indirect to confidently replace invasive surgery.
Right.
But here's the missing piece of the puzzle.
Uh-huh.
The helmet doesn't just rely on the scalp. Dr. Lanka and Dr. Jagtap designed the system to utilize 2 literal physical windows into the cranial cavity, specifically the eyes and the ears.
The eyes and the ears, how does that give us pressure readings?
Well, let's look at the anatomy. Both the eyes and the ears are physically connected to the brain and, crucially, to the cerebrospinal fluid that cushions the brain.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. So to tap into this, the system includes a specialized set of spectacles, essentially a high-tech pair of glasses the patient wears along with the helmet. Mounted right onto these glasses are ultrasound probes focused on the optic nerve,
So they are bouncing sound waves at the back of the eyeball.
specifically at the optic nerve sheath. The optic nerve is literally an extension of the brain itself, and it's wrapped in a protective sheath filled with the exact same fluid that surrounds the brain inside the skull.
Okay, tracking with you.
If the pressure goes up inside the cranial cavity, that pressurized fluid gets pushed outward, causing the optic nerve sheath to expand like a balloon.
Oh, wow. Okay, I see. So if the brain is under pressure, the nerve behind the eye physically swells, and the ultrasound on the glasses measures that swelling.
Yes,
That is a direct physical link.
precisely. It is measuring the optic nerve sheath diameter with incredible precision. But the glasses don't stop there.
There's more on the glasses.
Oh yeah. They also include advanced pupillometry sensors. The way your pupil reacts to light is a massive indicator of your neurological health. It's why doctors always shine a pen light in your eyes after a concussion.
Right, looking for the pupil to shrink.
Exactly. But doing it by eye is subjective. This system takes the guesswork out. The glasses use an infrared LED to invisibly eliminate the eye, a white LED to trigger the pupil reflex, and a highly sensitive infrared camera to record exactly how fast and how much the pupil constricts. It tracks the neurological response down to the microsecond.
I want you to just imagine this for a second. You are wearing these futuristic glasses that are simultaneously using ultrasound to measure the physical ballooning of the fluid around your optic nerve while flashing microlights and using infrared cameras to record how your brain is visually reacting.
It is pretty incredible.
That is wild. But you also mentioned the ears.
Yes. And this is where we have to solve a unique engineering challenge. How do you measure internal fluid pressure from a biological opening that was designed to process external sound?
Good question.
The answer lies in the tympanic membrane displacement probes.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
It does, because think about what your eardrum, the tympanic membrane, actually is. It isn't just for hearing the outside world.
Right, it's a barrier.
It is a flexible physical wall that is intimately connected to the inner ear, which in turn connects to the brain's fluid systems. When the pressure inside your skull fluctuates, it physically pushes outward on your eardrum from the inside.
Wait, so the device is listening to the brain pushing on the eardrum? How do you even measure a movement that microscopic?
By using hanging ear probes that sit inside the ear canal, the probe features a tiny sound emitter to send a specific calibrated acoustic signal toward the eardrum and a microphone to listen to how that sound bounces back.
Okay.
It also packs a highly sensitive pressure transducer. By analyzing the bounce back, the probe can detect the microscopic bulging of the eardrum caused by the intracranial pressure.
But ears are notoriously tricky. I mean, everyone's ear canal is a completely different shape and size. How do you ensure you're getting a clean reading and not just, hospital room noise?
That was a major hurdle, and the inventors solved it by integrating inflatable microcuffs onto the ear probes. Yeah. Once the probe is inserted into the ear canal, these tiny cuffs gently inflate to create a perfect, customized airtight seal. Nothing gets in, nothing gets out.
That is brilliant.
And furthermore, the system uses active noise cancellation technology, similar to high-end headphones, to filter out any ambient sound from the hospital environment. It completely isolates the eardrum so it can measure those microfluctuations pushed outward by the brain's fluid.
Okay, I need to take inventory of what we have so far because this is just a staggering amount of information.
So let's recap it.
We have electrical data from the EEG. We have oxygen consumption from the near-infrared lights. We have blood velocity from the scalp ultrasound. We have the physical expansion of the optic nerve from the glasses. We have pupillary reflexes from the infrared cameras. And we have eardrum displacement from airtight acoustic ear probes.
That's right.
That is 6 completely different streams of highly complex, continuous data.
It is a massive influx of information.
Right. And gathering all this creates a huge risk of data overload. I mean, a human doctor can't look at 6 wildly different graphs, light bounce backs, eardrum micromovements, electrical squiggles, and instantly translate that into a single pressure number in their head.
Absolutely not.
So how does the device actually turn this chaotic data soup into a usable single intracranial pressure metric?
That is the defining challenge of multimodal sensors. Raw data is entirely useless without context and synthesis. So the moment you turn the system on, it goes through a rigorous processing pipeline.
Okay, what does that look like?
First, it initializes and verifies that every single sensor is functioning, and it establishes a baseline calibration for the patient. Once calibrated, the system begins acquiring synchronized data from all 6 sensors.
I imagine the synchronization, the timestamping is critical here.
Oh, it is the glue that holds the whole concept together. Think about a heartbeat. When the heart pumps, it drives a spike in blood flow to the brain. The system needs to know exactly how the optic nerve expanded and how the eardrum flexed in that exact specific millisecond. If the data streams are even slightly out of sync, the relationship between the sensors completely breaks down.
Okay, so the data is flowing and time-stamped, but hospitals are chaotic. What happens when a patient blinks or, a nurse accidentally bumps the bed? Doesn't that scramble the readings?
It does, which is why the next hurdle is pre-processing. You can think of the pre-processing stage as a bouncer at a club.
I like that.
Yeah, its job is to filter out the junk before it ever reaches the main system. If the patient blinks, that creates a visual artifact on the pupillometry sensor. If the bed is bumped, the near-infrared sensors might register a spike.
So it cleans it up.
Exactly. The pre-processing algorithms identify these external anomalies, filter out the noise, and extract only the clean physiological features needed to estimate the pressure.
So once we have this clean, perfectly synced data, how does it combine? It doesn't just average them all together, does it?
No, and what's fascinating here is the AI brain of the system. The physical hardware running all of this is a multi-input microcontroller using high-speed communication protocols to handle the massive data load.
Okay.
But the real heavy lifting happens in the AI-driven data fusion module. This isn't basic arithmetic. It relies on advanced machine learning. Specifically, it uses Bayesian networks and recurrent neural networks, or RNNs.
Okay, for those of us who aren't software engineers, what does that actually mean in practice? How do Bayesian networks work in a medical device?
Think of a Bayesian network as a highly skeptical, incredibly logical detective.
A skeptical detective.
Right.
Okay.
It is an algorithm designed to handle probability and uncertainty. In real time, the Bayesian network evaluates the data and decides how much trust to put into each individual sensor at any given moment based on physiological rules.
Oh, interesting. Can you give an example?
Sure. For example, if the ultrasound on the optic nerve gets a blurry reading for a few seconds, the Bayesian network knows to temporarily place more weight on the eardrum and oxygen sensors to compensate.
And the recurrent neural networks.
RNNs are exceptional at recognizing patterns over time. The body is rhythmic, your breathing, your pulse, the slow waves of brain activity.
Oh, it's all cycles.
Exactly. The RNNs analyze the historical context of the patient's data, recognizing the natural pulsing patterns of the blood flow and pressure.
So it's looking at the history, not just the exact second.
Right. By fusing the logical probability of the Bayesian networks with the pattern recognition of the RNNs, the AI doesn't just spit out a single guess. It provides a highly accurate intracranial pressure metric, complete with a confidence interval.
The confidence interval.
Yeah, it essentially tells the doctor, the pressure inside the skull is 15 millimeters of mercury, and based on the cross-reference data from all 6 sensors, I am 98% confident in this reading.
It's like an expert symphony conductor. You have 6 wildly different instruments, ultrasound, infrared, audio, electrical, and they're all playing at once.
I love that comparison.
Yeah, because raw, it sounds like chaotic noise. But this AI conductor processes all that noise, perfectly syncs the timestamps, filters out the coughs from the audience, and produces one clear, readable piece of sheet music for the doctor to understand.
That is a beautiful way to visualize it. The system takes the chaos of human biology and translates it into a clear, actionable trend line on a connected display.
Which bridges us perfectly into the hardware and the real-world impact of this invention, because having the sensors and the AI symphony conductor is amazing.
Definitely.
But if this massive processing power requires the helmet to be tethered to a huge wall outlet in a specialized ICU, we haven't really solved the mobility issue, have we? For this to replace invasive surgery in remote areas, it has to be robust and portable.
And the inventors were hyper-aware of that constraint.
Yeah.
Powering the entire operation is a rechargeable lithium-ion battery integrated right into the framework.
Oh, nice.
It includes a quick charge feature and a dedicated battery management system. This ensures the power output is optimized, so the helmet doesn't suddenly die in the middle of a critical monitoring session. It's entirely untethered.
And without wires, how is the doctor actually seeing the data?
Through dual-band wireless connectivity modules that support both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi.
Okay, so it goes to a tablet or something.
Exactly. The helmet beams the processed data directly to a tablet, monitor, or smartphone. And because we are dealing with highly sensitive patient health data, it uses secure encryption protocols that are fully IPA and GDPR compliant.
That is super important.
Definitely. Furthermore, the operational flow includes seamlessly synchronizing this data with a secure cloud platform.
So what does this all mean? When we zoom out from the technical specs, the inflatable microcuffs, the Bayesian detectives, the near-infrared oxygen trackers, what is the real-world application here?
In the immediate clinical sense, this device acts as an early warning system. It provides real-time alerts for pressure threshold breaches.
Like an alarm going off.
Yeah. If a patient's brain starts swelling from trauma, the system instantly alerts the clinical staff, enabling prompt, potentially life-saving intervention before irreversible brain damage occurs.
Wow.
And by syncing to the cloud, it also stores long-term data for longitudinal tracking. A doctor can look at a patient's brain pressure trends over a week, rather than just getting a snapshot from a single moment in time. Additionally, the physical architecture of the helmet is modular.
Meaning you can swap parts out.
Exactly. If a drastically better oxygen sensor is invented 5 years from now, you don't throw away the entire helmet. You simply swap out that specific module.
For you listening right now, think about how this technology aligns with broader global health initiatives, like the Sustainable Development Goals specifically, the goal of promoting good health and well-being for everyone.
It's a huge step toward that.
It really is. Up until now, advanced neurocritical care has been geographically locked. If you suffer a traumatic your hole drilled and your pressure expertly monitored.
But if you are anywhere else.
Right. If you suffer that exact same injury in a resource-limited clinic or out in a rural village, the medical staff is essentially flying blind. They have no way to safely look inside your skull.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this invention fundamentally democratizes neurological care. It makes it possible to monitor deep, complex brain dynamics in the back of a moving ambulance.
That is just incredible to think about.
A nurse in a rural clinic could place this helmet on a patient, and a neurosurgeon in an entirely different country could monitor the real-time data via telemedicine.
Without a drill.
Yes, all of this without needing a sterile operating room, without needing a surgeon on standby to operate a bone drill, and entirely without subjecting the patient to the pain and extreme risk of an invasive physical procedure.
It is a massive, incredibly humane leap forward in medical technology. Just to briefly recap our journey on this deep dive, we started by looking at the brutal, invasive standard of care that exists today.
The Dark Ages, basically.
Yeah. And we explored how Dr. Lenka and Dr. Jagtap's invention offers a radically elegant alternative. We unpacked the physical helmet and its 6 sensor modalities, from tracking the brain's electricity and oxygen consumption through the scalp to using ultrasound on the optic nerve and acoustic sound waves on the eardrum.
Which still blows my mind a bit.
Same here. And we explored how the AI fusion network, acting as that symphony conductor, weaves all those disparate, messy biological signals into one reliable, actionable metric for doctors.
It is a brilliant synthesis of human anatomy, hardware engineering, and artificial intelligence. And, this raises an important question, something I'd like to leave you to ponder as we wrap up.
What's that?
If we can now monitor intracranial pressure and deep cerebral blood flow completely non-invasively, continuously, and with just a wearable helmet and glasses, what does this mean for the future of everyday cognitive tracking?
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Right now, this technology is strictly for critical care and brain trauma. But as hardware inevitably shrinks and AI becomes even more efficient, could we eventually see a consumer version of this technology?
Like an Apple Watch for your brain.
Exactly. Imagine a future where astronauts in space, professional athletes on the field, or even everyday people monitor their deep brain stress levels and oxygen dynamics just as casually as we monitor our daily steps and heart rate on a smartwatch today.
Think about that. Suddenly, checking your brain's internal weather becomes as routine as stepping on a scale or wrapping a blood pressure cuff around your arm. It completely changes how we interact with our own biology, moving brain care from the ICU right into our living rooms. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the way things have always been done, and keep learning.